Hi, this is Jim and Princella Stringer, and we are Our Life Unpacked. Let's try it again. You guys say it together.
Okay.
Hi, this is Jim and Princella Stringer, and this is Our Life Unpacked.
Well, last time you looked at me, so I was waiting for that cue.
Okay. Do I need to give you the cue? Or can you just say it at the same time? Hi, this is Jim and Princella Stringer, and we are Our Life Unpacked. And you just blew it.
You didn't give me a cue.
Hi, this is Jim and Princella Stringer, and we are Our Life Unpacked. So we wanted to make a video today just to introduce ourselves and tell you a little bit of our story and our journey.
My friend and I were talking about how they were looking for a new home, and she used to talk about this new home that they were looking for and describe what her kids wanted, what her and her husband wanted. And one day I finally just said to her, Anna, doesn't this sound like our house? And she's like, oh my gosh, yes, I guess you're right. And so there it kicked off the idea in our minds that maybe that was like a signal or a sign that it was time for us to start thinking about selling our home.
Right, because our kids are all grown, and our last one was graduating high school, and she already had plans to go move in with a friend of hers. And so we were like, we don't even need this house. So we started the process, and like within less than a month, we went from being homeowners to looking at living full-time and doing the RV thing.
Yeah.
So at that time, I was still working full-time for UPS, and I said to myself, well, we had to look at this and see if we can do this. We have family in Arizona, and we decided that, you know what, let's see if we can afford to do winters in Arizona.
And actually, it was important to me to go to Arizona. I wanted to be closer to my mother, and also my oldest son moved there, my brother moved there, so it just seemed ideal. And I, too, was ready long before Jim was to no longer be in a cold state of Michigan. So another thing I think is really important to share here is that these were all baby steps that were evolving into our RV life. We wanted freedom. We wanted warmer weather. We wanted to be closer to other family that we weren't seeing as much anymore. And we also wanted to do something different for work and not be tied to an organization,
Right.
And have to work for someone else. And that was a big part of our choice, too.
So when we were doing the research before we bought the RV, we started looking at what do other people do? You know, how do they afford to do this if they're not retired? And so we started looking at sites that did like work camping, and we researched that. And we decided, you know what, if we can do work camping and, you know, we have a little small residual income, maybe. So we checked out the work camping thing, and we decided, you know what, I think we can do this. We might not have a lot of money, but let's see what happens. So after we sold our house, we were searching for an RV, and there's several things that I knew ahead of time that I wanted. And I remember my parents had an RV when we were younger. It wasn't nothing special, but it was an RV. And I remember taking a trip to Colorado one time and going up the mountain, and it was struggling. It was a gas engine Class A, so I knew I wanted a diesel. And the other thing that I researched was that a lot of people said stay away from the new stuff and get something pre-def. Now, I'm not saying that's the right answer, but that's kind of what I went with. So we looked for an older RV, and the other thing I wanted was to be self-sufficient. I didn't want to have to rely on running a generator all the time, and I knew that solar technology was out there. So I started doing a lot of research on solar. So those were the key things for me, was to A, have a diesel pusher and something that we could tow our trailer with, because we have a car that you can't tow behind.
And honestly, for me, I had a very different perspective and criteria, I guess you could say. Lucky for me, Jim was already thinking of things that provided ease in life, and which were to be self-sufficient, the solar powering, the space, internet, the trailer with the tools and things that we needed. But another component of that for ease of life was really peace of mind peace within our being and our body, eating better, living healthier, being more conscious, but also enjoying good foods. As you could see, we're at a pizza place right behind us, which I'd been craving pizza for like a week.
And one of the things that we like to do is we always loved to go and explore different towns and not, just all the big attractions. We love going to like the local downtown shopping districts for the arts and cool little restaurants and finding really good coffee. And so this lifestyle allows us to do that, to be able to go and explore and do different things. Our first year, we did this. We started off with work camping in Arizona, and it was kind of cool. It was like 12 hours a week. We worked 3 days, 4 hours a day, and I think it was like $12 an hour, but
Right.
it was nothing crazy. We didn't, it's not like we had a ton of extra money, but we were surviving.
Let me interject, because we have a whole wide world with people that have very different life experiences. So when we say surviving, it's like compared to our living before, where we didn't have the higher income coming in all the time. But we're really blessed and thankful for what we did have, and we knew that we didn't have to live as expensively as we were living before, right? So it felt different, but at the same time, I was really appreciating just being in a fresh, whole new environment, meeting new people, having more nature around us, which I really loved. And we were able to do that.
So when we first started work camping, it was really cool. I mean, honestly, I was doing stuff like sweeping for rocks in Arizona. So that first work camping experience was actually really good, kind of give us an idea of what it was like. So when we ended the season, of course, we didn't want to be in Arizona in the summer. We applied for work camping jobs in Michigan because we want to come back and visit the kids and be a little bit closer to home for a little while. It was pretty good. And so we were making a little extra money, and it was kind of nice. But the problem was I started getting to the point where I was like 7 months in one spot. I was like, I might as well be living in a house. So I was like really feeling stuck, to be honest.
Kind of like defeating the whole purpose of
traveling.
Why we wanted to do
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we still needed to do that because we wanted to supplement our income. And so we had to work camp. At the end of that season, we applied for another one in Arizona. We got the job, but I'm always on the work camp groups and on Facebook, and I seen a post from another company, and they were looking for RV teams to do site plans for commercial properties. And I'm like, that's kind of interesting. Let's see what they're talking about. So we reached out to them. We interviewed with them. They explained to us what the job was about, and we were like, wow, this is really kind of cool. I think we should try it. Basically, you get to travel, and they pay mileage, and you go job to job, and you always go to a different place, and they work you the direction you want to go, and they keep you out of the cold weather, and they keep you out of the hot weather. So I was like, that's perfect. The only downside is you have to be able to stay on the properties. So we go to these big commercial properties with Targets and all these stores, and you're parking in the parking lot.
Yeah. Sometimes it's great because I can run in and go grab something easily. And sometimes it's like, but you take the good with the bad.
Right. And there's always a restaurant there, so you can always get something to eat. And most of the time there's a grocery store too, so it's kind of cool. So, we didn't know what it was like, and we decided to try it. And so going to our second year, we accepted the job. You're subcontracted, you're not actually an employee, so you can work as much as you want or work as less as you want.
Yeah. On that note, actually, Jim and I have different work styles and different talents. And so I'll be completely frank that most of this type of work is more in his wheelhouse because he's very mechanical, can figure things out. He has experience in things that I don't have experience in. But my purpose and intention is different than his. Mine is that I want to keep moving and ease in exercise, which is a lot of walking, right? Yeah. And it feels really good to get all that walking in. I'm climbing things I never thought I would have climbed before, and it feels quite exhilarating, to be honest with you. Even though I have a different skill set than Jim, it was still really easy for me to catch on and learn what I needed to do. And we just feed off each other. And so I ask him questions, and I'm learning more and more every day. And so it is a great learning and growth experience that is easy to learn and easy to follow through with.
Like I said, if you need to work more to make more money, you can. And it really helps to provide for the lifestyle that we want.
But honestly, RV living provides an opportunity to have less expenses. They just look a little bit different.
A lot of people have the impression that just because you don't have a house payment or a RV payment or car payment, that it's going to be super cheap living. There's a lot of things you have to consider, and a lot of stuff we learn on the way. I already knew that the RV is going to break down, and so I was already prepared for that, because either you got to pay somebody to fix it or you need to figure out how to fix it yourself. Luckily, I'm mechanically inclined, I have tools, and I learned how to fix it on my own. I didn't know everything going into this, and I had to do a lot of research, a lot of YouTube for information. But in the end, like I said, we're not rich. We're not out buying $200,000-$300,000 RVs, or anything like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you can afford it, by all means do.
But this isn't about money. And I think that Jim is responding to some of the responses that he's been getting on Facebook. But in all seriousness, this isn't about money. This is about way of life, way of living, and doing what you really love and enjoy doing. And think about what you like and don't like in life. And we keep falling back to comparing to the norm, comparing to what people are always thinking about, which is money, and judging and comparing themselves to what we're doing. And quite frankly, sometimes it happens to us too. We're comparing what we're doing to what someone else is doing, but we make a concerted effort not to do that, because what's more important is, what do we want out of life, and how can we bring that to us and bring that into our lives. But doing that, changing our mindset, has brought a lot of really good, happy times, happy days, and good things into our life.
So now we're actually completing our second year full time. And I know there's a lot of you guys out there who've had many years under their belt, and you have your ways of doing it and being successful out there, being full timers. We don't know everything, we don't claim to, and we're still learning every day. When I post things on there, it's just, hey, this is what we've been able to accomplish. And it's just to show people that, hey, there are things you can do to an RV. I mean, there's things that I do that are unnecessary, like automating things. We have Alexa in our RV, and I want it to start the generator. I can do that. I want it to empty the tanks. I can do that. For me, those are little projects that I enjoy doing. A lot of people say, well, that's unnecessary. That's something else that's going to break. Again, what we do is not for everybody, and what other people do might not be for us. But as long as they're happy and enjoying it, that's all that matters.
Right, because I have found just watching you tinker with something and figure out how to make something happen, really makes you happy. Yeah, you love it. So on that note, we've had a wonderful day here in Encinitas. Escondido. We had some great pizza today.
Yep.
And I hope that if you're ever in this area, that you will visit Felipe's Pizza on Grand Street, Grand. Good stuff. Excellent pizza, excellent wait staff.
And we'll see you in our next video.